Yeah,
Let's
it's
go. All right, guys, we are live now, as you can see. All right. Well, welcome everybody for joining us today on our topic, resume versus the digital footprint, with the top tier consultants at BK Career Consulting here. We're going to tackle that topic and share as much insight as we can with you guys on that side, on that topic. And just keep in mind, these answers are very generic. If you need something more in depth and more tailored to certain industries or certain tailored to yourself as well, reach out to one of our consultants to have that one-on-one with them. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the introductions, right? If that's okay, we're gonna get right to it. Um, why don't we start? Go ahead, Keith, if you are ready. Maybe you can go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we're gonna just go around the circle. You just up next to me.
got it. So, hi everyone. My name is Keith. I am a former serial entrepreneur turned humanitarian, and I'm here to support you in all of your needs. Thank you.
All
All right,
right.
on to who's next.
That was a short introduction. You're not going to get away with that. Tell us what you do at BK Staffing.
I thought that was pretty.
How can you help them?
That was succinct. I thought I was trying to be just like the opposite of my resume, right?
Yeah.
So I come from the nonprofit sector. So, like, if you're trying to really just strengthen your resume from being from a nonprofit middle level manager going into leadership, or if you're out in the professional world and you'd like to actually just, have some support from someone that's dealt with corporate, with the C suite, I'd love to speak with you. I also do mentoring, and I'd like to see how we could actually lift you up and empower you and give you the tools that you need. So when you're going into that interview, when you're sending that resume in, or when you actually start your job, that you feel confident, that you feel secure, and you're able to actually go through your career path instead of actually just stopping and wondering, am I good enough? We want to tell you you are good enough. We want to give you the tools. Thank you.
Awesome. See, there is so much to him, and that's just a fraction of it. So I'm glad he was able to share that with us. Let's go next to John. John, you are next on my screen.
Good evening, everyone out there. Hi, I'm John King. I'm the CEO of King Global Enterprise Solutions. I'm a retired military vet. I did 25 years on active duty. The last 4.5 plus has been being a federal contractor. I guess going on 5 years being a federal contractor. So a grand total of 30 years. I don't know. I don't look that old, but 30 years within the federal government. I'm here to support veterans and their families and senior government folks. We see you out there, and I know you've recently been laid off. So help you navigate the commercial world, because it's slightly different, but there's a place for you somewhere out there. And so that's me.
Awesome. Thank you. And that goes both ways, John, right? Like that's you support the veterans that are trying to get into the corporate world, but also civilians who are trying to get jobs within the government sectors, correct?
That is correct, but vice versa. So, we know there are a lot of folks that due to nothing they did wrong, they've laid off. They've been in the federal government for 10, 15, 20 years, and now they need to start over. But it's okay, because it's just finding the right opportunity. And I know we're going to talk about networking and all these things here, but it's okay. Now, for the folks leaving the military and looking at civilian roles outside of the federal government roles, I'm also here to help you and your families, because the families also traveled with you this whole time, so they may not have the right skills to be able to translate over right away.
Awesome. Thank you. Next is Tia. Tia, please introduce yourself and tell us about yourself.
Sure. Thank you. My name is Tia Romero. I've been in the clinical research space for about 20 years now, really focused on that client success and more in that arena of client facing. If you are looking for support or resume review, any tips or tricks on kind of getting your foot in the door, please reach out. I'm here to support. I'll pass it back to you, Grace. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tia. One person who's not with us today is Anne. Unfortunately, she is not able to join us today. But Anne handles a lot of the healthcare roles and healthcare job seekers. She's a recruiter in that area as well. So she has a very much in-depth information on the industry, but also she can guide you guys as to what different roles require, since that industry has a lot of certifications that come with it, and so on and so on as well. I think very similar for Tia as well when it comes down to certification and such. All right, so now that you have met the team, and I myself, I'm Grace Tikatesfai. I go by Gracie on LinkedIn, and I come from the corporate world for the majority part. I was a tech recruiter, moved into a lot of different recruiting roles within the corporate world, and I'm here to help you guys on that side as well, whether it is through tech for tech. If you are looking for to get into the tech world, or if you are looking to get into other jobs such as HR, management side as well, when it comes down to project manager, product manager, so on, and so on and so on, finance as well. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is very interesting topic. Actually, I was at a recruiting summit. I think it's been already a couple of weeks. I'm not sure. The time is flying. But somebody made a comment that really stuck with me. And it was like, somebody said, oh, I can wait for resumes to go away. And I was thinking like, oh, wow, is that an option, right? Like, and that's kind of what I want to tackle today with the team here. In my opinion, we are not there by far where resumes are not required yet, but it'd be interesting to kind of weigh it out and see what is the benefits and pro and con on one side versus the other side, and how they are different and what is important to pay attention to. Specifically, also coming from our consultants here who are very specific to certain industries, they will be able to give you more insight on their end as well. Keith, do you want to go ahead and add to that topic?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about resumes, and like yesterday, I was actually on my LinkedIn. I was just playing around with it because my LinkedIn isn't really the LinkedIn that you should have. Like, I go through these moments where I'm just sitting back reflecting on my life, and I'm like, wow, that was great. I started adding pictures, I started adding media, I Google myself a little bit, find all these different interviews and whatever else. I feel that right now we're in some really weird state that we're not really sure. It's like, for me to trust somebody, it really takes a lot. But now with the inclusion of AI and then also LinkedIn and all these other sources adding AI so freely, you really don't know who you're speaking with. Like, I am me, right? Hopefully, right? This is not a bot. I'm not just generated, but it's tough. And I think that if we're going to go the extra mile, if we're going to be out there looking to try to build those relationships, if we're going to try to network, and if we're going to try to really get into a company where the hiring managers, when they're checking your profile out prior to you actually attending your first interview, or even maybe the selection committee, that if you have some extra information that really says that this is what you did, not something that AI said this is what is going to match up and what they're going to like, based upon the rec that you're winding up filling out, the job application for. So I think that you're going to really have to prove who you are and really show up in an authentic and a transparent manner that this is more real. And it's not just something that you just thought of like, oh, AI, please write me a resume that I am the most successful person in this industry and make it natural. I want people to believe I'm a human, but like, you can write whatever you want. But I think that we need to take it a step further. And, as people say, like, numbers don't lie and things like that. But when you're adding these images from your past events, the smiles of you working hand in hand with partners, if that's what someone is looking for in the industry you're going into, if you have proof of you working with these national partners that are reputable, that's going to add to the integrity that you have. And I just think that we should really just stop for a second and pause, look at any of our profiles that we have out there on any of the social media platforms, especially LinkedIn, and think about this like you're not just another tree in the forest. Think about it as if you're just actually looking in. What would you think of this person? And then think back for a second of all the accolades that you had, about all the experiences. And is it, you want to see, you want to really see if you're really telling the story of you would like how you would like other people to see you. That's all that I have. But that's my mindset. It's like I've been going through this really weird state. It's just like looking back at some of the roles and saying, wow, it's like it's nice to stop for a second, pat yourself on the back and say, wow, you got through these experiences, because that's going to help you so much down the line when it comes to proper self-regulation. And when you're looking at those tough stages in your life where you're waiting for you haven't hit your metrics or whatever it may be, you can look back at those past experiences where you were in the same situation and you move forward. Thank you, Grace. Team.
Yeah, thank you. That was very interesting. You threw out their prompt, an AI prompt, and that's kind of like something really to keep in mind, is like when we create these resumes and we prompting them, 10 other people or the rest of the applicants may be prompting them the same way as you are. So how does that make you stand out, right? So as though even though the AI tools are really great and helpful, if you really kind of want to make sure it still makes you unique as you as a person, versus just going by these different prompts and stuff like that as well. But yeah, very great points. Thank you so much, Keith, for your feedback on that. John, I know you are on digital platforms quite actively, on some more than others. And what do you see is the advantage of having a strong footprint on a digital platform versus a resume?
Well, for example, let's go obscure and look at Twitter, right? So I follow a lot of engineers, I follow a lot of tech, I follow a lot of like cyber people. Well, if you post enough about cybersecurity, you post enough about like tech and crypto, and you stay out of like politics and religion and randomness that happens. Like cats are cool on Twitter, but unless you're trying to be a veterinarian, maybe not. But so when you post enough, that generates, right? That generates feedback. The thing about these algorithms is you have to feed them, whether it be LinkedIn, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Instagram, I think it was Redbook for a little bit, and TikTok and every other platform you ever join. You have to feed the algorithm. If you're not feeding the algorithm, it's going to be a lot harder for that person looking for you. I'm a headhunter. So I go out and look for the green banner, and I see your green banner, or I'm in veteran pages on Facebook and you say you need a job. I'll look at your resume real quick and see if I can slot you somewhere. So you got to be active. And I'm not telling you to be on the internet for 8 hours a day, because people have a life, but I am telling you to post a couple times a day, make it a meaningful post. Don't go to my Twitter. I do other things over there. That's my safe space, but you can go to my LinkedIn, you can go to my Facebook, you can go to my TikTok. I really don't use Instagram. I mean, I did say I did 30 years, but Instagram doesn't favor the gray beard over here. So, but you have to create a digital signature. We're way beyond that point of not creating a digital signature. About a year ago, I was trying to help a CDL truck driver out, and all his information was from a long time ago, but I couldn't sell him. He was a friend. He was one of my cousin's friends, and I couldn't sell him because he couldn't provide me enough information. I used AI to rewrite his resume, but he had gaps, just gaps, and he wasn't like computer efficient and computer savvy. So even though I tried to help him, he's from another generation where he could walk into a trucking agency, shake a hand, pass a resume, show his background, and he'd be driving. That time is long gone. That's that we know. No one, even the local mom and pop shop, probably has like a link that you go fill out a job.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you when you said we are way past the, everybody has to have a digital platform now when it comes onto professional platforms if you are on the job market, because you want to be visible, and it's all about the visibility to recruiters and how their search process work as well. And I'm going to extend the same question to Tia. Tia, what do you see is the advantage or disadvantage of a strong footprint on the digital platforms versus resumes?
Well, I'll echo a little bit of what has already been said. I think showing that you're a real person is important. You know, you have interactions with people in real life, you're out and about in the community, you are participating in professional organizations, you're active, you're, just human, I think is important. I think it's difficult for people to kind of commit to these prescriptions of like, oh, you should definitely post 10 times, a week or whatever. Just take it slow, baby steps. If that seems like overwhelming to you, just try to do maybe one comment a day and see how that goes. And then once you get people commenting on your comment, it has to be meaningful, right? And then when you see the meaningful comment back to your meaningful comment, it kind of gives you more energy to move forward. So I would say, don't get overwhelmed, take baby steps. I would say also stay away from creating AI generated resumes at all costs, because I think it's already been mentioned that it's kind of copying whatever's in the algorithm, but it's not going to be specific to you and what your experience is. It's not going to be a good storyteller for you. You're your best storyteller, and that's what a resume is a story, and making that interesting to other people. I think I've seen some really fun stuff like one pagers or more marketing kind of tools being used to get people's attention. And I think that's great, but in my industry, you're still needing a resume to show the full experience that you have. And I saw someone asked a few questions ago if you have to keep it to 2 pages or under. And in my industry, that is not necessary, because there's a lot of information that has to go into the resume, including the indications that you've worked on, like what kind of drugs you've worked on, what kind of where you've worked, like what countries, if you're global. So, there's like a lot of different sections that are required in a resume for clinical research that makes it very difficult to keep it within 2 pages, especially if you've been in the industry for 10 years or more. So I would say that's not necessary in my industry, but I'm sure other industries have different requirements.
Yeah. That's a great thing here. As we discuss the different industries, each industry has its own niche, but also areas of resume writing and areas of profile that you want to get out there to those hiring teams, which goes beyond recruiters sometimes. And I'm sure, Tia, you have been on the hiring side and in board meetings and whatnot, that allows you to see in details what that is that you really need from other people, and how they can really highlight their skill set to appeal to those specific teams and industry leaders. Thank you for that share, TM. One thing is, I think it also on a digital platform, it allows us to tell stories of our industry. And by stories, I'm not talking about what is happening in your day or not, but more so the story of your profession. How did you get to where you got? What are some of the skills that you can highlight through your posts and even newsletters or videos, whatever you'd like to share? I find it very important or interesting sometimes for industries such as job roles, such as digital marketing. If you are looking for a digital marketer, you want to see what they are doing on the digital marketing space, right? You want to go on their pages and see how their page look like, what they are doing, the companies that they supported, and different type of roles or jobs that they held, but also products that they put out there that really adds to their portfolio. And that's kind of how I see a lot of the digital footprint is a portfolio of your professional story and the history. So there is a difference because you will put out more information on that end, but not necessarily on the personal side, whether it's like contact information, whether it's like different details towards the job or the company itself that you worked for, certain things that you may not want on the digital platforms, because again, digital platforms are there to view by everybody, right? Everybody can see your digital platforms, while a resume is dedicated specifically to that particular audience that you are applying to, whether it's the hiring team, whether it's the recruiter, whether it's the tech team, and you want to tailor it towards that particular role that you are applying for. So I think that those are the things that I see within those two application formats, if you will, or platforms, if you will. It's not really a platform because a resume is a resume and a digital platform is a digital platform. They're really not necessarily comparable, to be very honest with you. But as a recruiter, what I have done previously is when I look at my candidates and I go through their resume, I find myself immediately looking them up on social media. Of course, initially it's always LinkedIn, but if you Google them, sometimes some other things pop up and you want to look at those things as well. And again, it's not only tied to social media, but also websites that they may have. A lot of different professionals, they may have an LLC, or they may have just a blog a page that they have to put out certain information. So there is just so much access to that these days. And I can only imagine that access to your digital platforms are going to be more summarized, more easier to search and easier accessible to recruiters and other organizations that are seeking you out for certain professions as well. So before we move to the next, I just want to go ahead and recognize a lot of folks that have joined us here on LinkedIn. I want to say thank you. It's a little delay. We got into this conversation and it was very exciting here. But I don't want to take too much time to thank Keith. Keith is always a great supporter of ours. Joe, it's so good to see you on here. I love your room, and there's so much to learn. You talk about AI. This guy knows a lot, and I myself have learned some things from his rooms as well. So thank you for being here, Joe. Henry, welcome. Gladson, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering names. Noni, nice to have you. Noni is one of our LinkedIn friends as well. So good to have you. Miss Kim and I serve on the same board, and we are in the same organization with the Happiness Tribe. She is our leader there. So welcome, and I'm so glad you are here and supporting. So again, and if I miss somebody, I may apologize. Oh, Dr. Gladys, also one of our Happiness Tribe family members. Welcome, and thank you for your support and for being here with us today. I hope this information is helpful to all of you and you are able to get something out of it. Keith, I'm going to go ahead and just ask you something, and I'm going to just ask everybody the same question, really. It's what are some of the mistakes you see done on digital platforms that can be corrected? Some of the common mistakes that you see out there.
Do you really want me to go there? Okay.
Well, we want to help people out, so yes.
I'm just joking. So again, we understand that our digital presence matters. As I was alluding to in the beginning, I was searching myself. I was actually Googling myself. When's the last time you Googled yourself? Raise your hand. Has anyone ever done it? I know it's kind of creepy, but just finding out exactly what's going on out there. So there's a lot of digital red flags that you want to look out for. Again, a lot of them have been mentioned too as well. So again, any controversial or overly negative posts, think twice about hitting post. Ignoring your LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, you're making yourself basically invisible to opportunities. So it's, again, as Tia was stating before, you wanted to make sure that you're actually like a real person. So if you haven't had any posts or any comments on your LinkedIn in years, and all of a sudden you're applying to all these jobs, people are like, hold up, am I being punked right now? Is this person real? AI generated content, use it wisely. Don't flood your profile with any of that, because again, at some point, someone's going to have to hear your voice, or maybe you won't have the option to have a camera in front of you. Maybe they're going to ask you to be blindfolded, who knows? But you're not going to be able to fake it, not unless you have all the AI meta glasses or any of this new technology that's out there. But it's going to be hard for you to try to really become that AI guru that you made yourself out to be. Instead of the person that you're really hiding behind, which is in that moniker that you're hiding behind. You're going to really have to show who you are. So I think just be careful, again, when you're getting involved with anything having to do with politics, with religion, or any of those hot topics. Don't try to go there. And if you're going to go there, just take it all the way through and just make sure that you actually tell your story, but you're doing it in a manner that it's not going to be against anyone. That if you're currently employed by somebody, you may have a social media policy that you need to adhere to, or if you're looking to be a part of a government agency or anything bigger, as Henry was alluding to before, people are going to want to see how you're going to act if you are an employee for them. So the way that you've acted before in the past is going to show some signs. It's like, do I really want to have this person on my team if I'm going to have to keep looking out for them? So just be very cautious of that. Sometimes what we say to our friends in the same room is a lot different than what we say to our friends that's on a platform that has millions of people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, it is definitely not the same as being on Facebook and with your friends and family. So definitely something to keep in mind. And even there, if you don't have the proper settings where it's private, or maybe you go under different names, whatnot, you really want to be clear of your visibility. The visibility is there for other companies and recruiters to really see you if they search you. So as Keith said, if you have searched your name recently, you'll see what is visible to others, and you may want to do that just to see what other people see about you as well.
Yeah. And if I could just add something very quickly, so that is a very important thing. So if you go onto your LinkedIn profile settings and you take it off where people cannot mention you, that's a really good thing to do, because the second you get into some type of heated battle, or somebody has some other type of idea, or perception in terms of what you had said, that whole entire conversation, your whole entire comments that you're making is going to show up on the feed of other people that are following you. So make sure that they don't get involved in your messiness. Make sure that you're going to give the person what they want, which is that conversation, but they're going to have to direct it to your direct messages, because it will no longer alert you, and it's going to keep you out of the messiness that's there. It's going to be taken to the point where it's only in their particular area, not going through your social media without you knowing about it. So I would just take off your mentions. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'll add on to what Keith is saying.
Yeah.
I would be very careful about direct messaging people things. Like when you're heated in the moment and people do post things on LinkedIn, do not go into someone's direct messages and telling them something, because I've seen so many times where their screenshot of that conversation gets on and then they tag you. And so, just don't do it. It's just someone else's opinion. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to impact you. Just walk away if you have to, but don't message, don't get involved.
Yeah. Wow. That's very, I have not encountered that, thank God. So I have not seen that either, but I'm sure I may have run into it, and I have not paid attention to it. There have been situations where I read some things. Now that you are actually mentioning it, it was between recruiters. And I did see something like that, and where they were going back and forth, and somebody messaged me to tell me, can you please respond to this, which was not part of my interaction at all. And so that was very interesting. But yes, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, that was a very, very good point. Not just I guess we have to be cautious, not just about what we put on our platforms, but also direct messaging others, and potentially risking that being exposed. And if you must message for whatever reason, keep it professional, keep it clean, keep it very straightforward, and without don't give it air for interpretation, or
And,
for interpretation.
and
Mhm.
you don't want to say anything that you couldn't say to your family. Like if you couldn't say it on the news, or you couldn't just say it to someone in your family, don't say it through direct message if it's someone, because basically if that gets out there, that's going to go against your credibility, your integrity, and people are going to find you as a risk. So try to stop for a second, stop and pause for a second and breathe, give people grace, think they're having, think they all have the best intentions, even if they don't. But just make sure before you actually respond that you can't take that back.
Absolutely.
So,
Very good
don't
point.
try to say anything or do anything you can't take back. Just like a resume that you're sending out there into the world, if it's not you, if it's not valid, when they're like, okay, you're great, we're going to hire you, we're going to start you at this rate, it's going to be wonderful. Okay, just you filled out your background check information. Okay, we're just going to verify the information. And then when they go through this, I don't think the people that are verifying are going to be able to match up everything to exactly on your fraudulent resume. So really try to think about that part before you send something in that's finally crafted by AI. Just have it make sure that it's really something that could be verified.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very interesting. Definitely, I agree with you. We're gonna leave that one there. Any other errors that you guys can think of? So for me, I guess it's also just taking everything that you have on your resume and just kind of copy and pasting it to your LinkedIn, for example. I think there is obviously in the experience section, there may be some room to express it the same way. But what makes it really different to have a resume is really that it's directed to a specific position, and often also to a specific role and company and organization. So you mentioning different things. So while you would not necessarily constantly tailor your LinkedIn or other social platforms, you will most likely tailor your resume to address certain things that are on a job description. At the end of the day, it's all about that job description, whatever is on that job description that you want to really bring to life as far as what you have done in your past, and just kind of reflect that and really blend all the synergies together as from what you have done in your past, your skill sets and experiences, as well as what the job requires of you. So that side, and then also really understand that the what it's like anything else. When you go shopping, the first thing you do is you shop with your eyes, right? Like something, and that's something I learned in school. We shop with our senses, and the first thing we do is we look at things, and you really want to make sure your profile is professional, right? There are different areas, and actually next week we will have Miss Kim, who actually is going to speak more on the technicality on, and also on the steps of LinkedIn with us. But for now, it's different things that you have to really pay attention to, such as your profile picture. It needs to be professional. The banner needs to have a very straightforward one, message, and the summary, and so on and so on and so on. We're not going to get into the details of that, but like really utilize all that real estate on your platform, especially on LinkedIn, to really get across your skill sets, your experiences, and how you excel each day in your profession, and really highlight those things. I know Tia, for example, has newsletters that she sends out. By the way, if you guys are not connected to any of these amazing top tier people, I would recommend you to follow them and connect with them. Each one of them has really great stuff to share. So with that, John, I want to go ahead and pass the same question to you. Do you see anything out there that is very common mistake that we can maybe highlight here today?
Yeah, so it's really depends on industry, right? I got a friend who stays at the C-suite level, and we were having a conversation once. It's like, hey man, you got to add more information. He said, no, not at the C-suite. You don't add as much information. And I went and compared other C-suites, and I was like, you know what? You are correct. You don't have to add it. So every industry is different. So, the top talent tier team, we can be your mentors, but also go out and look for mentors within those industries so they can like direct you in how you're supposed to behave in that industry. Every industry is completely different. So on your LinkedIn page, for me, I'm a logistics officer, I'm a budget officer, I've been a commander, I've done DOD, I've done a bunch of things. If you go to my LinkedIn page, that's what it pretty much shows, but also shows I'm a business owner. It also shows I've been in nonprofits and working and helping with nonprofits, because those are all kind of my passions, right? So let it show your personality, but also make sure you're tailoring it to the industry that you're trying to get into. Now, you're going to make a complete flip and you're moving from pharmaceuticals into cybersecurity, and you were manufacturing pharmaceuticals and you knew all the medicines, and now you're starting at your C+ and Sec+. Well, you're going to have to tailor your LinkedIn profile to match that when they come look for you. Kenneth said you didn't reach out to him. We got Michael out here, so we got people making a handful of comments. We got to acknowledge them. Kenneth, Grace didn't acknowledge you, but now I'm acknowledging you. So we got a lot of people. We got a lot of people in the audience out here.
Yeah, Kenneth liked to call me out, and he likes to make fun of me.
Kenneth,
but I did acknowledge him. Did I miss it? If I did, he was the number one, actually. Kenneth, Kenneth makes sure that the word goes out, and he is very, very supportive, and he is in the research industry himself, actually, highly intelligent gentleman.
Yeah, we've had some conversations. Kenneth. He's a good dude. Michael LeBlanc kind of mentioned, he just kind of put a post out there that it said 90% of all jobs are not always posted, which is true, right? Not all the jobs are posted. And what that means, it's the network. Just because you cold emailed someone, just because you cold chatted with them, doesn't mean they're going to go ahead and give you the job right away. You have to establish those relationships, especially if you're moving from industry to industry, or you're moving from inside your industry and you're moving to a competitor. You still got to establish those relationships. Don't assume just because people are nice to you that they're going to just go above and beyond for you. That's not always the truth. They have to get to trust you and get to know you.
Yeah. And the more you are, the more you have on your platforms, that's kind of a good way of people knowing. And even like when it comes on to networking and really people wanting to recommend you for certain things. If I am on John's page and I cannot tell what he is really about, what he does, and there is an opportunity that comes across my desk or whatnot, I cannot really recommend him because I really am not clear as to what John does or what his skill sets he has or whatnot based on his platforms, because I follow him on his platform, right? So it's important that people can really just tell what you do. I can easily say, look, Tia is in the research and industry. I actually messed that up. Did I mess this up? I'm sorry, Tia. I did get it right, did I?
Yeah, clinical research.
Clinical research, yes. I got a little thrown off because of Kenneth. Thank you, Kenneth. So she's in the clinical research industry. Therefore, I can, if something comes across my desk, I can say, oh, this is, Tia. And of course, I know John is also in the recruiting industry, helping veterans and so on and so on. So I can easily say, this is what John does and so on and so on. Same thing goes for Keith. But if I don't know, I cannot recommend to anybody if that opportunity comes my way, right? So, and that's why it's so important that our platforms really speak for themselves and really tell a story of what we do and who we are as far as professionals and what we bring to the table. And so somebody else can really share that information. Now, I will say with that as well, don't do as I do, but do as I say kind of situation. I do have certain things on my profile that I, for example, I have confidential for certain companies, just because I speak of a lot of things, and I don't want to associate my previous companies to that. So and those are the certain things that are very unique to other people. So you don't want to necessarily copy and paste other people. That's another reason, right? You want to be very unique in your own way, and really, as a job seeker, what do you want out there? So very, very important to have it in a way that is visible to everybody, and they can just see what you're about. All right. So I believe we went way over, and we actually had a hard stop. Sorry. Sorry about that. And if anybody want to just go ahead and kind of wrap it up for us, anything that you guys want to add to that before we finish?
I just wanted to add something quickly. So I'd say the final takeaways that I have, again, is for job seekers to optimize your LinkedIn and resume with AI in mind. Remember, don't try to go make AI become like your resume to be based upon just whatever AI thinks, whatever generative story that they're going to have. As Tia was saying, that you needed to create and sell your story to talk about you. Why should they have you on your team? For employers, rethink about how you evaluate candidates. Resumes aren't the whole picture. For everyone, start treating your digital footprint like your personal brand. So the key action steps I would say are to Google yourself. I know we said this is kind of funny, kind of weird, kind of creepy. Update your LinkedIn and make sure your online presence aligns with your professional goals. If you found this helpful, hit follow on BK Career Consulting, and we hope to hear from you soon and see you on our next session. Thank you.
Yes, and last thing, just keep in mind, if this is not something that is tailored to one or the other one of you, it's really just very generic. So if you want something more tailored to you or you're in a specific industry, please reach out to our industry experts and our top tier consultants here with us today. And Anne is not with us today. And so feel free to reach out to us about any of that, and we will connect you with the right person. All right, that is it for me. I want to say good night to everyone. Kenneth, thank you so much. I see you. I'm going to have to read that a little later. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, thank you to the top tier over here. That's what I call them, my top tiers. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.